Biko no do kedu ihe na-eme n'Imo State nke bụ a na-ekwu otu ibu a na-eme. Biko na-enukwu nọ ihe nwanne anyị nwoke kwuo na-aga on between Judge Hope Uzodinma and the Judiciary n'Imo State. Chọrọ m ikwu okwu nke akarịrị m. Biko no na this video.
A very, very quick one. And a very serious matter that calls for serious concern, from every well-meaning lover of justice, and of course, every citizen of the state. And probably the Attorney General of Imo State can answer it. And as far as I know, I believe that the Attorney General of Imo State will powers to ask a judge or a magistrate or the chairman of a customary court to discontinue a case or to say they are no longer interested is when there is a case between government and an individual, or government and an organization, government and the community, government and a group or groups of people. That is in my own layman's understanding. And I believe that the law is very clear that the Attorney General of Imo State or Attorney General of the Federation cannot ask a competent court of jurisdiction to discontinue a matter between two individuals, between two organizations, between two communities, between two companies or business associates. I believe that. I don't need to read law to know that the Attorney General of the state, and when who right, in a divorce case, like issue, for instance, Attorney General when who right, judge, discontinue this matter, let the status quo remain. And Attorney General gain right over a case when it is government versus non-sopa. Government versus Okekokudogo. Government versus international this or that. Government versus Mbeke company. I believe in a layman's understanding, and I know it might be the position of the law. So this case of Ezashikwe na Mbuba Amene Nonoru East, Imo State here, where the Attorney General asked the court to discontinue the matter. On what grounds exactly? On what ground? We need to be, the law is not ambiguous. The law should not be complicated. The law should not be confusing. The law must be clear, precise, obvious, crystal, direct, to the point. I strongly believe that, oh. I strongly believe it. That the law cannot leave both parties hanging. I believe that the law does not allow vacuum. I believe that the essence of the law is conclusivity. Conclusiveness. I believe that is the essence of law. And so, in a situation whereby the Attorney General of Imo State comes into a matter of executive torso in this particular community now, and asks the court to discontinue, because the press release is already there. It's in the newspapers. Nigerian Newspoint yesterday. So it is a matter of serious concern and a matter of discourse whether the Attorney General of the state has that powers to ask a competent court of jurisdiction to discontinue a matter that is almost coming to conclusion, that is almost coming to ruling, a matter that is almost coming to judgment. We are not going to sleep or slumber or probably pretend that things that have been made to obstruct justice is the law. No, it's not the law. It's not the law. And you cannot, after series of sessions of court, after the penning down of both witnesses, by the judge or by the magistrate, and at the end of the day, you ask the court to discontinue the matter. wasting the efforts of the court. You know, making the court look like a puppet. No! Such things are not done. Such things are not done. So my question remains, does the Attorney General have the right to ask a court to discontinue a matter that has to deal with individuals? A matter that has to do with Ezeship Tozo. A matter that has to do with community. In my own understanding, like I said, and I believe that in the matter versus the state, federal government versus Showore, federal government versus Sunday Boho, the Attorney General of the Federation wrote to the court that the federal government is no longer interested in the case they are prosecuting Showore for. Therefore, the case was withdrawn. The pardon granted Sunday Uiboho was also part of that Attorney General's, how do I put it? Federal government's position, which is also Attorney General of the Federation's position, that they are no longer interested. In fact, they want to forgive Sunday Uiboho. I think that is where the government comes in. When there is a case between government and individual, that is where the Attorney General can exercise his powers of withdrawing a case or calling for the discontinuance of a case, not in an individual versus an individual case, or community versus a community case, organization versus organization's case. That is not, in my own understanding, no, I don't think that is the law. I don't think that is the law. And so for the Attorney General of Imo State to call and write for the discontinuance of a matter that has tarried under constant scrutiny in a competent court of jurisdiction, competent court of jurisdiction, to discontinue the matter, I think that is an act of jobbery. That is an act of abuse of power, abuse of office. Is in the newspapers, is in a press release. All these things will be pasted here for you to go through and see. So we are asking probably the NJC, yes, and Imo State government to look into this matter, whether it is right and just, or whether it is a miscarriage of justice, and whether there is partiality in such order, in such instruction, to discontinue a matter of such magnitude. I'm not going into the matter, because for now, the people involved, the party, one of the parties involved said they are not in support of what the Attorney General of Imo State did, which means they can still appeal. They can still appeal whatever instruction the Attorney General gave. Our job as the watchdog of the society is to make sure that nobody miscarries justice and that nobody denies anyone justice. We stand for justice, and justice we all shall get. Thank you.